As I stepped through the dense thicket of overgrown trees and vines, the air around me seemed to grow heavier with each step. My heart pounded in my chest, a constant reminder of the eerie dread that had settled over me like a shroud. I had always been fascinated by the mysterious and the macabre, but this was different. This was real, and I was about to face it head-on. The abandoned bunker had always been a topic of whispered legends in our small town. Nestled deep within the heart of a dense forest, it had stood untouched by time for as long as anyone could remember. The stories were always the same. It was haunted, cursed, a place where no one should ever venture. Of course, that only made me want to explore it more. My name is Sarah, and I was always the odd one out among my friends. While they spent their weekends at parties or watching mindless reality shows, I spent mine researching local urban legends and unsolved mysteries. The bunker was my latest obsession, and tonight, I was finally going to see it for myself. The forest was eerily quiet as I moved deeper into its heart. The trees seemed to close in around me, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The sun had already dipped below the horizon, and the moon cast long, eerie shadows on the forest floor. I knew I had to keep moving. I couldn't let fear paralyze me. Finally, I saw it in the distance. The bunker. Its massive concrete walls jutted out of the ground like a tombstone, and I could see the faded remnants of graffiti that covered its surface. The entrance was a gaping maw, an abyss that beckoned me forward. My flashlight pierced the darkness, revealing a rusted metal door hanging ajar. My heart was pounding, and my hands trembled as I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air inside the bunker was stale, heavy with the scent of decay and dampness. My flashlight revealed a narrow corridor that seemed to stretch on endlessly into the darkness. The walls were lined with graffiti, the artwork of countless explorers who had ventured into this forsaken place before me. I took a deep breath and started down the corridor, the sound of my footsteps echoing in the stillness. As I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. My skin prickled with unease, and I quickened my pace. I had come this far. I couldn't turn back now. The corridor opened into a larger chamber, and I gasped at what I saw. The room was filled with rows of rusted metal cots, each one covered in tattered, mildewed blankets. It looked like a makeshift dormitory, but for what purpose? My flashlight beam danced across the walls, revealing more graffiti, some of it more disturbing than the rest. My attention was drawn to a series of drawings scrawled on one wall. They were crude and unsettling, depicting grotesque figures with elongated limbs and hollow eyes. Beneath the drawings, a message had been scrawled in shaky handwriting. "They are here with us." The hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and a shiver ran down my spine. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease and pressed on, determined to explore every inch of this place. I moved deeper into the bunker, my footsteps echoing off the concrete walls. The next chamber I entered was even more unsettling. It was filled with rusted cages, some of them hanging from the ceiling, others strewn haphazardly on the floor. It looked like some kind of makeshift prison, and the thought of what might have taken place here made my stomach churn. As I continued to explore, I stumbled upon a set of stairs that led deeper underground. I hesitated for a moment, but then descended into the darkness. The air grew colder with each step, and a sense of dread settled over me like a suffocating blanket. At the bottom of the stairs, I found myself in a long, narrow corridor that seemed to stretch on forever. The walls were lined with thick metal doors, each one secured with a heavy padlock. My curiosity got the better of me, and I began to examine the doors one by one. The first door I opened revealed a small, windowless room with a single chair in the center. Straps dangled from the arms and legs of the chair, and a sense of dread washed over me as I realized what I was looking at. An interrogation room. The next door revealed a similar room, but this one was filled with an array of disturbing instruments, surgical tools, restraints, and devices I couldn't even begin to identify. The realization hit me like a sledgehammer. This bunker had been a place of unspeakable horrors. I continued down the corridor, each door I opened revealing a new chamber of nightmares. There were rooms filled with old medical equipment, jars containing strange, preserved specimens, and walls covered in photographs of twisted experiments. My mind reeled at the horrors that must have unfolded in this place. Suddenly, I heard a sound. A soft, echoing whisper that sent a chill down my spine. I turned toward the source of the sound and saw a shadowy figure at the end of the corridor. Panic surged through me and I fled back up the stairs, not daring to look back. I burst out of the bunker and into the forest, gasping for breath. The night air was cool against my skin, and I felt a rush of relief to be out of that hellish place. But the fear still gnawed at me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me out. As I made my way through the dark forest, I heard it again. The soft, echoing whispers. They seemed to surround me, closing in from all sides. I quickened my pace, stumbling over roots and fallen branches, but the whispers followed, growing louder and more sinister with each step. Suddenly, I emerged from the forest and found myself back at the thicket of overgrown trees where I had entered. I pushed my way through, desperate to escape the relentless whispers, but as I stepped into the clearing on the other side, I froze in terror. Standing before me were the figures from the drawings in the bunker, twisted, grotesque beings with hollow eyes and elongated limbs. They surrounded me, their whispers now a deafening cacophony of voices that seemed to seep into my very soul. I screamed, but no sound came out. I tried to run, but my feet were rooted to the spot. The figures closed in, their bony fingers reaching out for me. And then, with a searing pain that cut through the terror, everything went dark. When I woke, I was back in the bunker, but it was no longer abandoned. The walls were alive with the whispers of the tortured souls that had been trapped here, and the figures from the drawings moved silently through the shadows. I was one of them now, a prisoner in this nightmarish place, forever haunted by the horrors of the abandoned bunker. And as the years passed in that cursed underground chamber, I came to understand the true nature of the bunker's evil. It wasn't just a place of unspeakable horrors. It was a portal to a world beyond our understanding, a world where nightmares became reality. And now, I was a part of it, condemned to an eternity of suffering in the darkness. So take heed and avoid the forest's abandoned bunker, for once you enter, there's no escape. Its lurking horrors will consume you entirely, making you a part of the nightmarish depths.